Alrighty, so day number 2 of the Leeds Cup group stage action is in the books, and thank goodness, no crazy long PK shootout happened in the West Coast game. I mean, I swear, if that was going to happen again, I would definitely not be happy because although I know I'm doing this review way earlier than what was I supposed to do yesterday. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can stand in terms of watching another 19 rounds of PK shootout. But what we did saw in terms of day 2 of the Leeds Cup action is chaos, especially in the East Coast game. I mean, these games in the East Coast, there was just pure chaos in terms of these Leeds Cup game. And we start off with the first one, which is Montreal and Pumas. And I'll tell you what, Montreal, they blew it in this game, and somehow, in some way, they found a way to win in a PK shootout. They pretty much did the opposite of what we saw Dallas did. Well, they kind of did the same thing what Dallas did, but with the opposite in a PK shootout, which I will say that it's even more impressive the fact that Montreal can blow a game like that and still somehow win a PK shootout against a Liga MX team because on paper, in terms of these PK show, whenever you see MLS team take on Liga MX team, it has never been favorite MLS team. Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Duke blasted high from close range before Opoku puts one that was deflected wide. It was a promising start for Montreal. They were looking to get the opener goal. Shrinier with a diving header that goes right to Akala. But then after Nathan hits it wide from close range, and this is the first shot for Pumas, and this is Nathan Silva, not Nathan Saliba from Montreal. There was two Nathan in this game. In the 24th minute, Montreal takes the lead. It's Bryce Duke scoring from Lassiter to make it 1-0 in favor of Montreal. So the two former Miami men combining and the two guys that were part of the package to go from Inter Miami to Montreal. Safe to say it has worked out very well for Montreal right now. And again, it was also a lovely strike there from Bryce Duke. And yeah, Montreal deservedly were leading 1-0. They were the better team coming out of the gate. Duke did try to look for a second, but he missed one in the 28th minute before Ofer would puts it wide from close range. And there's no doubt that Montreal was hungry for a second, and they kind of had to do so because you know that even though they play well to this point, one goal probably is not going to be enough to hold down Pumas. And they did get their second goal in the 43rd minute. It's Shrinier scoring here to make it 2-0 in favor of Montreal. Now, originally this one was given to Corbo, but I think they changed it later to Shrinier because Shrinier actually delivered this cross from the set piece, and I thought Corbo actually hits that one. I mean, it definitely looked like he did, judging by the fact that he made that heading notion, but they did check to see whether if he actually did get any touch of that header. They said no, so that's why the goal was awarded to Shrinier. But Montreal wouldn't care because they were 2-0 up. They were cruising up to that point. Gerardo did try to respond for Pumas, but that one missed wide, and we do head to halftime with Montreal leading 2-0. Now, in the second half, this is where we start to see more urgency shown from Pumas. I mean, whatever their head coach said at halftime, they must have choice words to this team because it was a pretty embarrassing displays that Pumas put against Montreal in the first half, and they were on the front foot looking to get one back. Though Montreal, I thought, they kind of set back a little bit to try to make make Puma's life hard in terms of sitting in a low block, and I thought they did a good job in terms of they were defending very well. Pumas was very toothless going forward on the attack, and there wasn't really much chance that was made. We then get some chippiness between both of these teams, which would kind of be a foreshadow of what we're going to see later in this one. And then Coy actually rounds the keeper there, and he was trying to step slots into the empty net, but that was blocked off the line. But then in the 88th minute, Pumas gets one back. It's Fernandez scoring from Adere to give Pumas some life in this game. And if you know one thing about Pumas, especially from Liga MX fans, this is a team that has the notion of making incredible comebacks. And when that goal went in, I was thinking like, uh-oh, this could be bad for Montreal. And you can feel it too. I mean, it was nervy moment inside Star Saputo. I mean, I will say that, while there was a lot of Pumas fans in the stands, Montreal fans definitely represent saying, well, they were pretty loud throughout this one, but yeah, you can hear there was some nervy energy because Pumas was gonna try to do what they usually do and try to do a spectacular comeback, and they did it. In the first minute of stoppage time is Montejano scoring here to tie the game up at two apiece. By the way, if I absolutely butcher the Spanish name, do do apologize. But yeah, that ties the game up at two apiece. It was just a complete meltdown for Montreal. Like a team that looked very comfortable. I mean, they played well in the first half. In the second half, even though Pumas had most of the possession, I thought Montreal was still looking pretty comfortable. But man, what a meltdown it is in the last two minutes. And this is where I think, well, looks like Pumas is gonna win this PK shootout because anytime when a Liga MX team take on an MLS team heading to a PK shootout, it's usually in favor of a Liga MX team. But this is where you got to give Montreal some credit because in the PK shootout, they actually did very well. In fact, Pumas actually missed the first penalty. So yeah, that's something like with all the momentum in favor of them, you would not expect them to miss the first penalty. But what's also kind of interesting is that there was actually some pushing and shoving between both teams after Siwas denied from the spot. I mean, that's something you do not see happen often, where you see guys kind of pushing and shoving during a PK show. You know, you usually have the players kind of at the halfway line and kind of holding each other's back and hoping for the best. But you don't usually see players just kind of clash with each other. Though I will say that I'm not surprised that that could be the case because you have like both teams so close to each other. You just had a feeling maybe tempers were gonna flare, especially if someone said something or there's some chirping that is going on, and then yeah, it kind of boiled over for that. But nevertheless, as I said, Montreal, to their credit, not only they even though they blow this lead, they went on to win the penalty to kick shootout, and it's Lapinainen, the one that gets the winning penalty for Montreal. And after the PK shootout was over, things continued to boil over. I mean, you could see this was not a very friendly kind of affair between both of these teams, which is not a surprise when you have MLS and Liga MX team fighting against each other. But yeah, in the end, Montreal does get the 4-2 victory in the PK shootout. And the shots of this one, 8 shots for the 13 that Pumas had, 3 shots on goal compared to 4 that Montreal has. Both teams had 3 shots off target, 1 shot that was blocked compared to 7 that Pumas had. And possession-wise, Pumas did have the better of the possession, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that Montreal has. And while Montreal, they'll be disappointed that they could have had all 3 points in this game and maybe left a point on the out of this game. They'll still be happy the fact that they did get 2 points. And again, anytime when you're able to have that mentality to win a PK shootout against a Liga MX team after you blow a 2-0 lead late, definitely you got to give a lot of credit to the characters that this Montreal team shown. But that being said, moving on in the next one is the Red Bulls and the New England Revolution. So this is also a game that went to a PK shootout. In fact, these first two games I'm gonna talk about went to a PK shootout. And you know what? Just like the game between Orlando versus Houston, you just kind of had a feeling this game was destined to go to a PK shootout. I mean, neither team were doing very good in terms of the final third, especially from the Red Bulls. They had a lot of chances in this one. But as it is the case for this season for the Red Bulls, they just cannot figure it out in terms of going for on the attack, and their finishing has just been woeful at best. But early on, Van Zier would pose it wide from close, as I thought the Red Bulls had most of the possession. New England was elected to sit back. But shots were 1-0 for the Red Bulls 20 minutes in, which is not a big surprise, because anytime when you see a Red Bulls game, you know it's going to be a slow start. It's going to be a bit of a slog fest. Van Zier then hits one straight to Petrovic in the 21st minute as the Red Bulls press. I thought seems they were effective because the Revs, I can understand where they were trying to go on the transitional play, but they just couldn't do so because they keep running into the Red Bull press and keep giving the ball away in their own half. Lucinius then hits one right to Petrovic before Petrovic denied Fernandez from close range. So even though the Revs didn't play very well, when all in doubt, why not count on your goalkeeper Georgi Petrovic? I mean, you know that even if the Revs are not playing well, they will always be in the game because Georgi Petrovic is just an absolute monster. But I also said to the Red Bulls, they're getting closer, but can they solve Petrovic and also be better in terms of their finishings? Spoiler alert, it doesn't. But they did put the ball in the back of the net in the 44th minute as Tom Barlow put the ball into the back of the net. Problem was the flag did not agree with him, so yeah, the goal was disallowed for offside, and we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, the refs were on the front foot. They were looking for the opening goal again. They did check to see if Bo actually got himself a send off after he made a crunching challenge on Omer Fernandez, but VAR basically says no. Amaya then pulls it wide from close before Ndema puts it wide from close range. And again, the Red Bulls, they're creating some good chances, but where's the finishing? The finishing is just clearly not there for the Red Bulls up to this point. And then a rare opportunity for the Revs in the 67th minute as Bobby Wood was actually in on goal, but he took a heavy touch there and the chance was gone. And that's one that Bobby Wood would absolutely love to have back because that was the moment. I mean, knowing the quality that Bobby Wood has bring, he knows that he's got to do a lot better, especially in a game where the Revs haven't had a lot of chances. And also, I wrote that chance kind of sums up this game. I mean, neither of these teams can really do well in terms of their finishing and the final third play. Bo then hits one right to Cornell before in the 71st minute, Guncourt would miss it wide from close range. And I just feel like this looks like it's going to go to PK. Like, it just feels like nobody can finish in this one. The Red Bulls continue to be wasteful in front of goal. Though in the 90th minute, it looked like Veroni was going to steal all 3 points for the Revs, but Cornell comes up with a big save to deny him from close range. So, to no one's surprise, this one go to a PK shootout. And in the PK shootout, it's John Token, the one that converts the winning penalty for the Red Bulls to win 4-2 in this one. The Revs actually had the advantage at one point, but unfortunately, they did miss a couple more penalties. And yeah, in the end, the Red Bulls, they were able to come out with the 2 points. Shots in this one, 11 shots compared to 7 that the Revs had. 3 shots on goal compared to 2 that the Revs had. 7 shots off target compared to none that the Revs had. 1 shot that was blocked compared to 5 that the Revs had. And possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that the Red Bulls had. And I think it's safe to say that if this didn't go to a PK shootout, I think you can say that clearly both teams deserve just 1 point out of this game because yeah, this was tough to watch. I mean, if you are a fan of both teams, I mean, I think Red Bulls fan will be happy because they did get the bonus point, but performance wise, they cannot be happy about this. I mean, this was a very poor performance from the New York Red Bulls, and for New England, the same goes for them. I mean, this was just a very bad performance, one of the worst performances that they put. And uh, notice I didn't mention the name Carlos Hill in this game. He was invincible in this one. I mean, and that's a rare thing to say because Carlos Hill has always been making an impact for this Revs team when he is playing, but you would have thought that he was injured with the way that he pretty much didn't do a lot. But you got to give credit to the Red Bulls defense too. They did a really good job to really completely shut down Carlos Hill in this game. But that being said, moving on into the next game to the bonkers game of the night because apparently this game between the Union and Tijuana's Cholos makes no sense whatsoever. So early on in the first half, we have Carranza had a shot that was clear off the line. I mean that was kind of just a thing to come in this one and the wildness that we're gonna get in this game. Before Rodriguez actually denied Sullivan, but it actually fall right to Carranza, and he tried to follow that one up, but he hits one right to Rodriguez, and the Union was on the front foot. They were pressing to try to get the early lead. Rodriguez then denied McGlynn from close range, and then on the other end, Blake, not to 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 not to just realize that he's just going to be a lonely man in this game, but he denied Gonzalez from close range in this one. I mean, both goalkeepers were absolutely amazing, and it's unfortunate that the Cholos goalkeeper Rodriguez he actually didn't continue in this one. He suffered an injury in the second half, but there was no doubt there was no feeling out period. I mean, this game was wide open. It was end to end action at time. Canelo then puts it wide as the flag went up, but then the 18th minute. The penalty was given to the Union as Carranza was brought down by Diaz in the box. And keep in mind, Carranza was in on goal here, and it was pretty clear that Diaz brought him down in the box. He made no attempt to play the ball. So because of that, that's a denial of goal score opportunity. So Diaz was sent off, and that the Union had a chance to score on the penalty. Daniel Gastek steps up to take the penalty. You know he doesn't miss penalties, and he slots it home coolly to give the Union a 1-0 lead. And then in the 22nd minute, I think this sequence just sums up this game. I mean, this was just one of the craziest sequences I've seen, not just this year, but probably ever. Where first of all, it was Rodriguez denying Buenos from close range. By the way, Jesus Buenos completely snake bit in this game. Like he probably had like half of the chances that the Union has in this one, and yet he still didn't get a goal. But this one actually went right back to McLean. There was a lot of second chance opportunity for the Union in this one, and this was the second chance opportunity when McLean trying to hit from long range, but he was also denied by Rodriguez. And then it fall to Carranza, and Carranza was open there in the back post, and somehow he shook the post. And yet, as that ball bounced off the post, it went right back to him, and then he tried to heads it in, and then it was clear off the line. I mean, that is just peak Leeds Cup, CONCACAF kind of moment there. I mean, I could have easily write this Leeds Cup after dark moment, but keep in mind it's like 8:22 when this game, or actually this was around 8:30 when this happened. And usually we don't say peak Leeds Cup after dark moment until we get very late. But yeah, I mean that was just bonkers, and that really sums up this game. This game just make no sense whatsoever at time, and it absolutely makes no sense how the Union did not get that second goal despite having one, two, three, four opportunity on that sequence to put the ball into the back of the net. But that being said, the shots on target already 5-1 in favor of the Philadelphia Union. And then in the 26th minute, they eventually do make it 2-0 as Daniel Gastek would score his second goal of the game after VAR overruled the original offside goal there. And I thought this could get ugly for Cholos because knowing the Union, knowing when they're on, you know they're going to be a bust. So they're going to score a third or a fourth relatively quickly. But give credit to this Cholos team. They kind of hung in there. Blake had to deny Barbosa from close range before Wagner heads it right to Rodriguez. Then in the 41st minute, oh, this doesn't make sense. Rodriguez hits that one. Why I actually got that one wrong? It was so crazy that I was having a tough time in terms of keeping. And keep in mind there was already 3 games that was happening. I was keeping an eye very close to this one because of how crazy and off the rail this one was. But despite being a man down, again, Cholos, they were hang on in tough in this one. And oh, actually, you know what? Now I remember. There was actually another player for Tijuana that was also Rodriguez, besides the goalkeeper, and he hits that one wide. But like I said, despite they're down a man, Cholos were hanging tough. They were determined not to get absolutely destroyed by the Union, and I thought the Union's got to watch out the turnover. One of the things that Cholos did in this game is that they high press, and they didn't stop high pressing even when they were 2-0 down. And I thought there was times where the Union was just being a little too sloppy, too casual in the back, and those turnover turned into chances for Cholos in this one. Rodriguez then denied Carranza from close range. The shot went 13-8 through the first 45 minutes. Yeah, 21 shots already been put in this game. I mean, we've seen in some of these games where we don't even get like maybe 5 shots in the entire first half. This one had 21 shots. I mean, it was just crazy of how end to end at time this game is. And then Gonzalez would hits one right to Blake in the 4th minute of stoppage time. And yeah, we do head to halftime after just a crazy first half with the Union leading 2-0. And I also mentioned this game was also a game of momentum change or momentum swing because here comes the momentum swing in the second half. It start right out of the gate with Gonzalez scoring from Contreras to give Tijuana a lifeline in this one, but this was just the Union completely switched off on the defensive front. In fact, they pretty much switched off, at least in the first 10 minutes of the second half, because in the 51st minute, it was a penalty for Chelos after Bizo brought down Canelo in the box. Now, I'm not going to lie, that was very close, and I thought it was too close for VAR to potentially overturn that, but nevertheless, they did overturn and say that it was a penalty. And in the 52nd minute, Andre Blake he steps up bit here to deny Gonzalez from the spot. Now, to be fair, Gonzalez didn't really strike that one well, and it was a relatively comfortable save from Andre Blake from the spot. But see, I mean that's a big penalty kick save from Andre Blake, and you know that one went in. The momentum was all with Cholos, and I also wrote ball don't lie, with a question mark because I guess maybe ball don't lie with the fact that maybe the Union kind of got screwed over by this call. But at the same time, I also wrote the Union have to wake up because this is just like you can see Cholos. They were knocking on the door. They came in. They came from a penalty kick away from tying this game up. And then remember what I said about the momentum swing in the second half? Well, we quickly swing right back to the Union favor because in the 55th minute, Palanta would get a denial of goal score opportunity foul here. So Cholos were down to 9 men up to this point. And yeah, it's already tough when you're down to 10 men in a game, but when you're down to 9 men, as especially against this Union team, yeah, good luck in terms of trying to overcome. And this is where the momentum switched back to the Union. The Union realized that, hey, now we have a 2-man advantage. Surely we got to take advantage of this. Elliott then had a shot that was blocked by his own teammate, so that was kind of unfortunate there from Jack Elliott. Before Uru did puts one into the Delaware River. I thought Michael Uru really did well coming off the bench, even though that was not one of his best moments there. Rodriguez then had to be subbed off in this one as Corona replaced him. I didn't really see exactly what happened, but yeah, very unfortunate there. And again, if you're a Cholos fan, this is just a disaster. First, you have two players sent off and not going to be available in your final crucial group stage game. But now you have your starting goalkeeper went down with an injury, and now Corona have to step in the backup role. Glasnes then blasted high from close range, but then in the 72nd minute, Carranza very set to finish this game as he scored here from Bueno to make it free one in this one, and then Corona denied Bueno from close range because Jesus Bueno was absolutely snake bin in this one. Carranza then actually I don't know why I wrote he was going for his hat trick because up to this point that's he only have scored one goal here, but he was trying to go for his second there, but that one was clear off the line. And then he was denied by Corona in the 85th minute. And give credit to Corona with the way that with him coming into this game, he had to actually make a couple of decent save, and that you wouldn't have guessed that Cholos were really being hampered with the way that their starting goalkeeper come out. I mean, their backup goalkeeper just pretty much picked up where the starting goalkeeper left off after he was subbed off in this one. But yeah, the shots on goal up to this point is 13-6 in favor of the Union. And keep in mind, this is shots on goal, not total no shots. And also, I kind of stopped decided to take notes up to this point because I was running out of room, and knowing this game was kind of well in hand, which I was hoping that was the case. I mean, I didn't know that maybe Cholos would somehow score a second one, and then this game just go absolutely off the rail, and might need to think about bringing my travel board to fill in the remaining space. But yeah, I kind of stopped taking notes, hoping that this is just gonna play itself out, and it did. So in the end, it finished with the Union winning 3-1 in this one. It could have been more. They had a couple of opportunity to make it 4 or 5-1. But yeah, the shots in this game absolutely insane. 27 shots compared to 14 that Tijuana has. 41 shots combined in this game. 17 shots on goal. Yes, 17. That was on goal in this one. So both Rodriguez and Corona made 14 save in this one. I mean that has to be a record in terms of, well, I wouldn't say it's a record in MLS because I remember Maxime Crepeau made like 14 save in a game against the Quakes a couple of years ago. But in terms of a combined goalkeeper, I think that's got to be a record. I mean that's incredible. The fact that the Union had 17 shots on goal in this one. I mean, some teams don't even get 17 shots in a game, let alone shots on goal. Compare to the 5 that Tijuana has. 7 shots off target compared to 6 that the Union has. 4 shots that was blocked with the 2 that Tijuana has. And possession-wise, 62% possession compared to 38% possession that Tijuana has in this game. And like I said, just an absolute bonkers kind of game. No way to explain this one other than just a game that just completely got mad. But in the end, the Union, they get the big 3 points in this game, and they have the upper edge now, and all they need to do is I mean, they don't really need to win the game against Querétaro. I think when you look at the group stage format and how it's format, I think as long as you get one win, I think that should be enough to get you through into the knockout stage. But yeah, in a crazy game like that, I think Jim Curran will be happy the fact that his team come out relatively comfortable. Well, I would say at point in this one, but they did came out with a relatively decent 3-1 win against Cholos in this one. With that being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the last two games in the West Coast game of the Leagues Cup tournament from day number 2 in terms of these group stage action. So moving on to the next match is RSL and Seattle. So remember how I said that RSL, this is definitely a team that I think people should watch out for not only in Leagues Cup tournament, but when MLS does kick off again. I think if there is a team that could be maybe a contender in the Western Conference, and I know this season it's hard to predict because the West are just so crazy. But maybe RSL might be that team because right now they are just red hot right now. And this was a game where you just kind of had a feeling it was a matter of time before RSL gets the lead because Seattle, they were second best in this game in a huge way. Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Savarino puts it high from long range before Fry did deny Savarino from close range as RSL was on the front foot. They were pressing for the opener. There was a shout for a penalty for RSL that was not given before Fry denied Savarino again in the 14th minute. And then Silver goes on his bike there, but he missed that one high. And not only missed that one high, but missed it badly on that bicycle kick attempt. Arango then puts one right to Stephen Fry. It was all RSL. Like it was men against boys in terms of how the first half it went, and even in the second half too. But the problem is, can they get the breakthrough? Because up to this point, it was pretty much, I would say in the first half it was RSL versus Stephen Fry, rather than RSL versus Seattle Sounders, because the shots were 9-0 through 26 minutes for RSL. Silva did try to get that opener, but he heads it high from the corner as the shots were 11-2 for RSL up to the 41st minute mark. Fry then denied Inelli from close range, and again, Fry's the only reason why this is 0-0. Like, if it wasn't for Stephen Fry, this could have been easily 2 or 3-0 in favor of RSL, but we do head to halftime scoreless in this one, and you know the old saying, eventually the pressure is going to be too much for the opposition to handle, and then they finally crack. Well, it finally did in the second half, and it did not take long. As in the 47th minute, Savarino would get on hit the score sheet to make it 1-0 in favor of RSL. Not long after, Chicho Arango would get on the score sheet from Pablo Ruiz, and this was just a Route 1 fall from Pablo Ruiz. I mean, he basically puts that one up there. Arango was in on goal there, and that, yeah. I mean, despite the fact that Jackson Reagan, he tried his best to hold him up, Arango was not going to be denied. I mean, that was a wonderful work play there from RSL to make it 2-0. And again, the floodgates was completely blown open. Like RSL, they finally break break through, and I thought this was going to get ugly for the Sounders. But Rui Diaz did have a chance. He had a rare opportunity for the Sounders, but that one hits right to McMath. But then there might have been a glimmer of hope for the Sounders because Silva, of course, got himself sent off in this one. And yeah, this was no doubt a straight red card. It was studs up challenge on Rui Diaz. Always a red card. And you're thinking, well, maybe, just maybe, no. With a man down, RSL started to sit deep, and they were trying to make the Sounders to break down the low block, which has never been a strength for the Seattle Sounders. Latenzio did puts it wide from close range. Before the 79th minute, Julio tried to chip Fry from long range. He was trying to take a page off of Pablo Ruiz's book, but that one kind of missed way wide. For Ojeda, who puts it just wide from long range. And again, despite being a man down, you wouldn't have guessed it that RSL was being a man down. And in fact, you know, in both these games that we saw in the earlier game between the Union and Cholos before Cholos went down to 9 men, you wouldn't have guessed Cholos were down to 10 men with the way that they still hung in there and played very well. And that kind of was the same case in this game too. And I even think that they looked like they were threatening and were looking to try to get that third goal. And they got it. In the 88th minute, it's Rubio Rubin that gets the third goal. You know RSL is red hot right now, and that attack is clicking on all cylinder when Rubio Rubin gets on the score sheet. And I also wrote not only was the dagger in this one, but there was just some optional defending for the Sounders. Like there was just it just felt like they completely gave up and waved the white flag in this one, and they're thankful for that eventually the full time whistle did get blown in this one because my goodness, this was bad in every way, and this was definitely one of the worst game I've seen the Sounders have played in a very long time. And believe me, there's been some bad one this season. But the shots in this one, 19 shots for the 7 the Sounders had, 1 shot on goal for the 8 that RSL had, 6 shots off target for the 3 that the Sounders had, 3 shots that was blocked for the 5 that RSL has. And possession wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession RSL has. And I'll said it earlier, and I'm gonna say again, this team you cannot underestimate RSL right now. They are just red hot right now. Whatever Pablo Mastroeni is doing is clearly working. He's clearly hitting the right buttons. And I've also said that when they got Chicho, that has completely raised the ceiling to an all-time high. Like this team, I think that out of all these MLS teams that is considered to be favorites of winning Leeds Cup, I know some will say Cincinnati, and even Nashville, or even the Philadelphia Union could be favored. Why not RSL? I mean, why not? This is a team that has known to go deep. And Pablo Mastroeni, remember that Cinderella run that they made all the way to the Western Conference Final, they can do that again. And this time, they don't really need to worry about being the Cinderella story because they have the players to do so. And that, yeah, I think when they do play against Rayados, I am very interested to see that match because Rayados is another team that could be heavy favorites in this tournament. And I think that it should be a very, very intriguing matchup. Now, that being said, when Rayados do play against the Seattle Sounders, I expect it's probably going to be the same as what we've seen in this game from the Sounders. I mean, I feel like if you're the Sounders, you might as well just pack your bags and just kind of punt this tournament. Like this tournament, the way that they play, it was bad. Like and even if they do play their strongest team, I just don't see how they're gonna get past Rayados. I mean, this was just incredibly poor by the Sounders, and it's just been the way that has been the case. I mean, this team has just looked really bad ever since the start of, or actually near the middle of May after getting off to a fast start. But that being said, moving on in the next match. Oh, look at that! The San Jose Earthquakes, they lost to the Portland Timbers at Providence Park. I mean, it just feels like it's an annual tradition. Like there's a reason why when I make my prediction, I predicted the Quakes to finish dead last, and they're probably gonna finish dead last in this one. I also don't see them beating Tigres at home. And the reason why I say that is that this was really the game for them to really need to get 3 points or even get a PK shootout win so they can have their chance. Well, they don't get that, and they did their usual thing of losing at Providence Park again. I mean, again, that stadium, it's a house of horror for the Quakes. It's getting to a point where it's really just a curse right now, where the Quakes they just simply cannot beat the Portland Timbers at Providence Park. Now, in the first half, to be fair, I thought it was actually a good start for the Quakes. They looked lethal on the transitional play, though Nishikoda did have the first chance, and he was trying to chip it over Danielle, but actually struck the post. The goal wouldn't have counted either way because the flag went up, and then Triaco was trying to shoot one from long range again because he did score a goal of the year contention in the game against Seattle. He was trying to do it again against another Cascadia team, but this time he didn't. It didn't really it went on target, but it did not miss by much. I mean, it didn't make David Bingham to think about whether or not he needs to make a save there, but it did went wide. But I thought it was a good start for the Quakes. But the question is, can they be a little bit better in the final third? I mean, the final third it wasn't as sharp, even though I know when I hear the commentating this game, which again it was absolutely awful because Max Breto is commentating in this one, and when Max Breto is commentating in this game, it's probably not going to be a good one. I mean, nothing against Brian Dunson. Brian Dunson, I like him, but I feel bad that he has to work with Max Bretos. I mean, he's pretty much a guy that kind of ruins the broadcast when he's doing the by play. But in the 27th minute, Evander did puts one he actually puts one way wide. But then the 32nd minute, probably the best opportunity for the Quakes up to this point, as Bingham denied it Bobasi in the near post. But then in the 33rd minute, Evander scored. He scored here from Nishikoda to make it 1-0 in favor of the Timbers. It was completely against the run of play because up to that point, the Timbers they were flat and they had looked like they were out of idea and looked like the team that went through that 10-game winless run. But at the same time, if you're the Quakes, you cannot leave Evander wide open like that at the top of the arc. I mean, Evander can score from those long range effort. The fact that they did not close him down like that was just criminal from the Quakes. And yeah, that made it 1-0, and that really kind of changed the game because after that goal, Quakes just never looked the same. They even though they continue to have possession, final third play has been atrocious and they just cannot get anything going. And we do head to halftime with Portland leading 1-0. Now in the second half, Chara did puts it wide from close range before Nishikoda tried to toe poke one in, but missed just wide. The post would then deny Paredes from long range. The Timbers were on the front foot. They were pressing to get that second goal, and don't think the Quakes have came out of the locker room because they were all out of sort. They were getting outplayed badly in this one. This looked like your typical Portland Timbers versus San Jose Earthquakes match where the Timbers should easily get the victory. Nishikoda then had a shot that was clear off the line by Beeson before Mora puts it high from long range. And then Cal was actually in on goal there. And this is where there was a little bit of a controversy whether or not he was brought down by Mascara and that it should have been a war penalty. They said it was no penalty. I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to be neutral because as a Quakes fan, I know some of you might think that should be a penalty because of my biased opinion, but to try to stay neutral, I do think in the end they got this one right with the way that it's one of those 50-50 situation where it was a tangle of legs. I've seen it called before, but I also have not seen it called, and I also think that it wasn't really clear and obvious, even if they do go to VAR to overturn this. And keep in mind, clear and obvious is the key word, because if there's one thing we know about this term, and that could be very loosely interpreted, or even in MLS play too, it's very loosely interpreted. But yeah, no penalty was given, and really, as the time winds down, it was just too comfortable for the Timbers. Like the Quakes, it looked like they were completely out of ideas. They looked flat on the attack, and in the 86th minute, this feels like it was just a mercy killing as Felipe Mora would kill this game off from Larea to make it 2-0 in favor of the Timbers. Moreno did try to make it 3-0, but he hits that one right to Danielle. Moreno actually started in this one, which is kind of an interesting thing. Things seem to see him still play for the Timbers, because he has that ongoing transfer fiasco where he actually requested to be transferred from this team, and even didn't play a game for the Portland Timbers. Didn't report back to this team when he was still in his native country, Colombia. But in the first minute of stoppage time, Blanco would hit it straight to Danielle. And then there was also a check to see if Bravo handballed that one in the box, which VAR says no. And again, that was another one that I think it was probably a little too close for me to say that they overturned that call. But nevertheless, I can understand why Quakes fans are angry about that. But what they cannot be angry is the result of this game. I mean, the Timbers deserve this one. Really, besides the first 30 minutes, Quakes kind of just follow their usual narrative of not being able to win against the Portland Timbers and have to play down to the team that just completely owns them whenever this fixture is taking place at Providence Park. Shots in this one, 12 shots compared to 10 that the Quakes had, 3 shots on goal compared to 5 that the Timbers had. Both team had 3 shots off target, both team had 2 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to the 49% possession that the Timbers has in this game. And yeah, for the Quakes, they're done in terms of the League Cup. Like I would be shocked if they were able to still move on to beat Tigres in the next game. Like the only way they can move on is that they have to beat Tigres, and it has to be in regulation. That's not it happening at all. So yep, they're done. They're like what I said about the Seattle Sounders. They might as well just think about playing their kids and looking back into to league play. And as much as I was kind of looking forward to this tournament as a Quakes fan, I just feel like with the group that they put in, and especially with the way that they unfortunately got the wrong end of the stick, having to play a road game in the Leeds Cup, which we know in this tournament not every MLS team has to play a road game this year, but especially with the way that it's a road game and it's at Portland, a place that they have never won as an MLS franchise when they came back in the league in 2008. It was just not going to happen. So yeah, very disappointing, but it is what it is. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at these 5 games to wrap up day number 2. I mean, man, so far in these first 2 days, this tournament has lived up to its expectation. I mean, if you are still kind of maybe a little bit doubting the fact how serious teams will take in this competition, oh, you just watch some of these games, especially in the game between Montreal and Pumas, especially when Pumas score that second goal. You can see the passion in this team, and also the feistiness in this competition too, because I'm pretty sure if this game was just a glorified kind of tournament or a cash grab tournament, you wouldn't see the players really put their best effort in this one, and I think we definitely saw that, and I think it's just going to continue as this tournament goes along, and I can't wait what tomorrow is going to bring in terms of day number 3 of the group stage action of these Leagues Cup tournament. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.